Well, we got a chance to finish up with Rice last night and take a look and correct the things that we can correct. And then got a chance to move on and look forward to this week's challenge against Middle Tennessee, team that's 2-0 in our league. And Rick Stockstill's done a great job up there in the years he's been there, stabilizing that program and building it. They've got a real good coaching staff. Their guys play hard. They're physical on defense. Coach Nix does a good job. Then offensively, I think Coach Faulkner does as good as anybody in the country at playing to their quarterback strengths. This year it's a guy that runs, that they're throwing the ball quickly on the perimeter. He's running the ball. They're going tempo. They really spread the field. And in the end, I think they do a really good job of running it. I know he comes from a background similar to us in terms of throwing it, but they're doing a really good job of running it, and they're really physical on defense. So it's going to be a real challenge for us. We're excited to get another conference game to kind of see where we've progressed and how we continue to improve. And we're excited about the 11 o'clock start and get up there and get after it Saturday morning.
You mentioned after the game, it was kind of, you'd be sick, I guess, watching the game film. Is that the same feeling after you saw it?
Sure, because there's so many things that you feel like you're improving. There's so many different areas where it feels better. I thought our O-line played more physical for the first time since I've been here. Not perfect, but I thought throughout the game, I thought our mental stamina was there. I thought we tried to play physical, not perfect. I thought there was a lot of things we did better offensively in the perimeter. I thought there were some things we did up front defensively and in the perimeter, but too many things that don't allow you to win football games. We weren't very good on kickoff cover with our kickoffs. The starting position was poor. We miss an extra point. We mishandle a snap on a field goal. We give up 3 or 4 big third downs and longs that continue drive, their first drive. Then when we cut it to 2016, another big third down, we allowed them to convert. Then offensively, missing big plays. We had opportunities to hit them and turning the ball over twice in our own end that gave them 10 points. There's enough there to like, but in the end, there wasn't enough things that you consider good football to beat a good football team. It's not beyond the realm to think we could have scored 10 more points with a made field goal and one more play, but then you're right there in the game and with an opportunity to make plays at the end. We just didn't do that.
For the first time this year, it seems like this week's game projects as kind of a defensive. I mean, they're very good defensively, not very good offensively so far. Do you think that this one may be a low scoring?
Oh, I don't know. I look at, again, the same thing. I think statistics are hard. I mean, they played at Minnesota, they played at Memphis, and Memphis is certainly underrated. You watch them, how good they are defensively. Ole Miss knows that after this week. So when I watch their offense against teams in our league, Western Kentucky and Old Dominion, they move the football. They've got a number of running backs back. Their quarterback is a very good player, makes really good decisions. They've got a good coaching staff. Defensively, again, a little bit skewed. I think their guys play hard. I think they're very physical, one of the most physical groups we've seen in terms of running and hitting. And they've got a number of those guys back that have just continued to get better. They've blended in some other good players with it. So I don't see it that way. I see it's a matter of each possession. How do we do it better than they do it? How do we extend their drives? And how do we find a way to put touchdown drives together? So again, I wouldn't expect it to be low scoring. I think is probably, we'd like it to be that. I think anybody would like it to end up that way. But I think that number one, it's really about how we slow them down and how we find a way to piece enough good plays together to put yourself in position to score touchdowns.
Thinking back to last year, it seemed like Middle Tennessee's offense was as physical as anyone I saw. Is that the same case, it seemed like this year?
Well, the running backs run. They've got a couple of real powerful running backs. They've had 4 different running backs going back to last year that have all carried the ball. I think 3 of them at one point had 100-yard games last year. They've got the Watley kid's a little quicker, a little more explosive, and then they got a couple bigger guys. But they do a nice job of rotating them and keeping them fresh. I think their O-line has done a good job. And they do a nice job of playing physical on the perimeter. I mean, this is a team that is going to force you to defend the width of the field. And they're going to force you to get lined up and they can get you stuck with your personnel on the field. They do a real nice job.
40 yards rushing last week, 60 yards, I think the week before. How do you get your running game going?
Well, we've got to do a better job formationally to help us that way. I think that'll be a big help in terms of formationally, how we get us in, to where we create some edges. We've got to do some more things with Nick on the perimeter to allow us to add to that, and we got to block it better. But in the end, some of the things we do from a screen standpoint, I think that all adds to it. Again, there's a difference in balance, and balance is being able to run it when you need to run it. I thought we did a better job there. At a couple of times we didn't, but for the most part, when we needed a first down, we were able to run and get it. But we've got to be more balanced, but in the end, it still is about moving the ball, scoring touchdowns, however we need to do that. Obviously, it starts with being able to control the ball, get first downs, and a big part of that's being able to run it.
I guess despite losing the turnover battle last week, I think Picasso's interception was the 6th for the team on the year, and all of last year you guys had 6 interceptions. So is it still positive to see you guys forcing, many more turnovers than you had last year?
Sure, it's a byproduct of, one, your defensive front. Can you get pressure on the quarterback? And 2, can you force him to throw? That's where you're going to get interceptions, is pressure on the quarterback and force him to throw. Last year, we didn't get a lot of pressure. We weren't in a lot of situations forcing them to throw. So that's where you're going to create those opportunities, is long yardage situations and when you're up in a game. So it just so happened that wasn't at that time, but that's how you're going to create those turnovers. And so obviously losing the turnover battle was a big part of the game.
I know you're not a fan of changing fundamentally anything, drastic changes or anything like that of what you guys do. But have you seen anything so far this season where maybe in the bye week you're like, we really need to think about, maybe rethink how, fine-tuning something?
Sure, we've been fine-tuning since we even started the year. There's certain things we've changed in terms of how we run it, some of the ways we throw it on the perimeter. We're always trying to tweak that within the base frame of your offense or defense, But again, you've got to be careful how far you stray from that. There's always going to be something you do a little bit different formationally, just like they do. A few things you're going to give different looks defensively, but at the core of what you believe in, you can't change, because one thing we find out week to week is what our guys do best is what they do over and over and over again. Where we find ourselves bogging down a little bit is just anything we've tweaked, any little thing as we're developing this team. At times we make those mistakes, so we don't do it as well as we'd like to do on either side. So the reality is, it's not about a given play call, it's about an execution of what we do. There are times you're going to look at it and go, okay, that wasn't very smart, they did this, I get that. But ultimately, you got to do what you do and do it better. And take advantage of what your players do well. That's one thing we've always tried to do. What does this player do well? What does this player, how can we get the ball in this guy's hands? How can we move certain guys around? And we just got to do what we do and do it better.
Can you update us on the health of the health situation?
Don't know really at this point. We've got some guys that are a little banged up that we'll know more information come tomorrow, but don't know. Dylan Bradley hopefully tried to run a little bit last night. We're hopeful to get him back. Offensively, I think we'll have Norman Price back. I know Jerry Harris by the back end, we keep playing some on Saturday. Skill-wise, I think the rest of them will be back. Don't know about Jalen yet with his thumb, but we'll know more about a couple of defensive guys more tomorrow.
With or without Jalen in the mix, does it kind of seem like George Payne has really emerged as kind of the guy, or at least the most effective?
We've got to do a better job, I do, and our staff does, of getting George more opportunities. George's a hard guy to bring down. He's a physical runner. That was obvious. We've got to find a way to get more opportunities for him. And he's gotten, again, healthy, and you can see that starting with last week and this week. So he's a guy that is a hard guy to bring down, that in a physical game like this one's going to be, we need to rely on George.
A couple comments about Oliver Bates and the job he did Saturday.
Did great. Really started for the first time. Usually plays kind of, we're using a pseudo tackle tight end. He's played a little bit, but I thought his energy was good. There were some things I'm sure that weren't technically like you'd like, but again, he's only going to get better. He's still a sophomore. And so I was pleased with his energy. I was pleased with just the way he handled himself. So he did a nice job.
It looks from at least my vantage point that from year one to year two, as far as receivers is concerned, James Cox has taken the biggest step forward. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, there were some plays that presented themselves. James is still a developing player. James loves to play. He's going to be a really good player. And I think from week 1 to week 6, Michael Thomas has really improved. And Marquise Ricard, when you look at last year's game against Middle Tennessee, and you look at him now, how much faster he plays, and DJ, who didn't play last year. So you're right, in a lot of ways, James has improved, and all of those guys have improved. And again, I just think that's what the exciting thing was. I think our running back position has improved. I think our receiver position has improved. Nick's been a little beat up and hasn't played his best. That comes from a few weeks of getting beat up. Hasn't played his best football the last couple weeks. He would admit that. And we've got to do things to bring him back in and get him some simple completions. But that's the exciting part. And the way our O-line played, and those were the things you're like, okay, there was enough there to say, okay, we're headed the right direction. Just not enough yet to get us over the hump. But James has improved a lot, and James is going to continue to get opportunities based on the way he practices.
With 2 road games, I guess, sandwiched around that bye week, most of the time if you win on the road, it's not really going to be pretty. So is the team kind of excited just to go out there and just be scrappy and try and piece together a win or 2?
Oh, I don't know. I think that's probably looking too much into it, whether to go on the road and be scrappy. If you're a good football team, or you think you're going to put yourself in position to win your division or be a bowl team, you got to win on the road. You're going to have to win on the road. So it starts this weekend at Middle, and we're going to have to play good football. We're going to have to get up in the morning, get ourselves going, and play good football. I think our guys are excited to go and play again. And I just think that from that part of it, we got to have a great week, because we're still going to improve. Every team, what we were last week can't be what we are this week.